My name is Carla Williamson. I am your District 1 manager. Our deputy manager is actually finishing a meeting, so he'll be here shortly. And then we have our business liaison, if you could stand up, please, Mr. Brian Davis, who's assisting with building our corridors. So right now, I'd like to bring up Pastor Minor, and first want to just thank him for allowing us to use your beautiful building. The atrium is beautiful. It's just really nice in here. So thank you very much. And sir, if you can come on up and welcome us into your space.
I'm going to start this off a little unusual. I'm going to start off with saying, let the church say amen. Amen. Let the church say amen again. Amen. God is good and all the time. Okay, so what that tells me that you guys know how to act in church. I just had to know my audience if I'm dealing with church folk here, okay? We need to be reminded of that this is the house of the Lord. This is a church. This is our first rodeo. We've not done this before. But from my understanding that sometimes these meetings can get a little emotional. And I'm going to ask you and implore you to please use self-control. There's no swearing in God's house. There's no aggressive behavior in God's house. And understand, Mayor, you are the mayor of the city, but God has given me jurisdiction over this building. And so therefore, if I need to stop and act appropriately, I know how to do it. I'm an ex-military guy myself. So with saying that, I want to welcome you to Macedonia Baptist Church, where I currently serve as the senior pastor. This is a place where Jesus Christ is Lord. This is a place, the reason why, let me say this first, because the reason why I agreed to this is the fact that I want Macedonia to be a community participant. It's time for us to get in the community. It's time for us to address some of the needs that are in the community. It's time for us to be community contributors as well. And so that's what we want to do. That's why we're a part of this now. We come to introduce ourselves to District 1. We come to introduce ourselves to the community. Now, with saying that, we want to welcome you, but we want to also let you know that we appreciate you. We don't take it for granted that you're here. We appreciate the fact that you chose Macedonia to come and to do this. And so with saying that, we have put together, along with my administrative assistant, have put together, we're going to give some gifts because that's what we do here at Macedonia Baptist Church. And so, Mayor, before you leave, I'm going to ask my administrative assistant, Sister Winham, are you here? To come up. We have some gifts that we want to present to you. Just as a token of our appreciation, we have on the list, we have Mayor Duggan, we have Aaron Harris, we have Carla Williamson, we have Mr. Hughes, we have Miss Monique, Miss Vicki Thomas, Mr. Riley, Mr. Ray Solomon, Mr. Charles, the Chief of Police, Precinct 1, and Precinct 1 NPO. She's going to come and give you gifts, and there's some others ones that we want to recognize as well, but we don't have the gifts right here, right now for you guys. But if you will just leave us your information, we'll make sure you get it. Amen? Come on. 8? Okay, got you. This first rodeo. First time. Listen, just to let you know, also, if you need to use the restrooms are outside this door here. If you turn to your left, go through the double doors and past the courtesy, past the elevators, you'll find the restrooms there. Or you can go down the main corridor here, and on the left-hand side, there's also additional bathrooms there. All right. Okay, so am I introducing? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, it's time to get down to business, right? It's time to get down to business. Understand that we have our mayor here. He's been, in my opinion, been a great mayor that have been out on the front lines and, making sure that he takes care of city business. Bring to you right now our very own mayor of the city of Detroit, the great city of Duggan.
Well, thank you, Pastor Minor. And this, I think, is an unusual church. Normally, when I go to church, I'm giving a gift. I don't remember ever getting one. So thank you very much for having us. And for those of you who haven't done this before, I'm going to talk for the early part of this. We're going to hear from a couple of other guests. Then we're going to test out the city's new land value tax estimator app, and then we're going to stay and answer all the questions that anybody may have. So to start off, of course, you met the team, Carla Williamson, Steele Hughes, and Brian Davis, who are doing such a great job in District 1, the Department of Neighborhoods. There was a time when you didn't know who to go to. Now we have district managers who are there. And of course, now, Chief, how many neighborhood police officers? 70 neighborhood police officers. Is a different style of policing, and many of you know those in the 2nd, the 6th, the 8th precinct. And I just want to say this about our police department. The men and women in the police department have done a great job, and I was really pleased that City Council supported them with the recent $10,000 raise. We are filling positions quickly. They are coming back from Ann Arbor. They are coming back from all over the country, back to DPD. We're hiring 300 new officers, and we are seeing with what Chief White is doing, a strategy that's working. We know how far we have to go to get this city to the level of safety that we want. There are times, is this the only microphone?
Give me a second to turn it up. All right. Just a second.
All right.
Get there? Yep.
Is that any better?
Yep.
All right. So let's talk. Shootings down 11%. The carjackings across this city down 33%. And really, it's been a strategy that Greenlight has had a lot to do with. Back in 2015, before the Detroit Police Department partnered with Greenlight, we had 50 carjackings a month. And we know where they were happening. They were happening at the gas stations, they were happening at the party stores, they were happening at the Coney's. And today, we are down this year to 14 carjackings a month. That's what happens when the police and the community work together. But it's not all good news. And we have pockets of the city that are shaded in yellow that even with the progress that Chief White and the department have made, remain persistent areas of violence. And people who live here know exactly where they are. And so we decided that in those areas, we had to do something different. It wasn't enough to have more cops and law enforcement and arresting, that we actually had to partner with people based in the community who had relationships in the community and see if we can't diffuse these incidents before they turn into shootings. The key to dropping the crime rate isn't arresting them after they shoot. The key to dropping the crime rate is getting people to make different decisions. And so we made a commitment to something we call Shot Stoppers. We put $10 million into violence prevention. And now everybody in the country is watching us. And this is what community violence intervention means. It means building relationships with people who are at risk of engaging these activities and help them solve problems in their lives. Because a lot of times there are things going on in these individuals' lives making them angry, they're feeling pain, and that's not something the police department is geared to solve. So we went out for proposals, got 30 proposals, and we picked the 6 best groups, and each has a defined boundary in which they are, for the next 2 years, embedded in those neighborhoods. They're visiting the high schools. They're developing relationships with teenagers. They're in the community talking about who's beefing with who. And 2 of these are in District 1, because we've got 2 parts of District 1 where we know we've got issues. The area from Burt to Hubble, north of Curtis, has been long time much too violent area, and then the area basically between Puritan and West Chicago along Greenfield. And so what we have done that's unique is we have individual organizations that are responsible. And so I want you to get a chance to hear from the people who will be leading the prevention efforts for the next 2 years here in District 1, and that's Negus Vu of Detroit People's Community and Eric Ford of Detroit 300. I'll ask Vu to come up first.
All right, peace. Thank you. Thank you. Peace. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Listen, my name is Negus Vu, and I have also one of our street outreach workers, Tegus Jackson. We're in your community all year long. We've been have the privilege to be here to work in the community. What CVI, as the mayor has said, is community violence intervention. And it's building those relationships with those people that's considered to be at risk and also high risk. High risk is those who are involved out there doing the shooting. What we've been doing is building those relationships, identifying those who are at high risk and at risk, and giving them resources and also different avenues and different pathways to turn them away from violent behavior. So we're in the community 24/7. All of us are grassroots organizations. So this is a great opportunity for many organizations across the country, because this is happening in other places, but it's here now, and us and the other organizations are here to make it where it's sustainable and it's a different pathway to bring violence down in a more effective and impactful way through relationship building. So I'm going to pass it over to Ortegas. He's, like I said, he's one of our lead team members of the street outreach worker team, and he's going to give you more of detail of some of the operations and the things that we're doing in the community.
Peace and love, everyone. How everyone doing today? Great, great. So once again, my name is Ortegas Jackson. I am an outreach worker. We're just trying to, first of all, show love to our children. See, it starts with our children, because being in the schools is like one of the greatest things, because that's where we're going to reach them at. We reach them in the schools. And if we can reach the children in the schools, we can reach the parents. You know, it starts with our youth, and it takes a village to raise that youth. So what we have developed is, let's get into these schools, let's talk to these kids, let's sit down and let these kids know that we're there. We're not there today and gone tomorrow, because we come back, and we continuously come back to the schools to talk to these children. The one other thing we do is the neighborhood patrol. We patrol the neighborhood that these same children stay in, so when they see us, they say they see great people like us coming to the schools, coming to the communities, driving down their street, talking to their parents, talking to the people across the street. So the major two things that we do as a community-based organization in the community is we communicate and operate as a team with our young children.
And then last but not least, we're also doing referrals through the juvenile courts. We're reaching them in that way. So there's a whole ecosystem that we're doing. But people in the community, we welcome you to contact us, reach out to us. Our email's info@thepeoplesaction.com. Our website is thepeoplesaction.com, and also our social media is The People's Action. So you're going to see him, you're going to see me, you're going to see several of us with this in the community. So please reach out. You can also talk to us afterwards. So thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it, and peace of love.
And then the second group, and I want you to get to know them, because they're going to be in these areas. If you live in these areas, you're going to be seeing them all the time. But please welcome Eric Ford of Detroit 300.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Get this thing started, Mr. Blue.
Good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Mr. Blue. I'm here with the president and founder of Detroit 300 LLC. This is Mr. Eric Ford. We've been doing this for like 13 years. We've been in the community. We know the community. And what we're doing now in CVI is we're more focused on the violent crime part of it. So in area code 48227. We have been focused on violent crime. One of the ways we've been doing this is through community engagement. We've been getting together with the stakeholders, business holders, community associations, the radio patrols, anybody that has anything to do with knowing where the violence is happening. In our communities, we know where the violence is happening. We know who Pookie and Ray Ray is. We know what they're doing and where they're doing it. So what we're trying to do is make sure that the community we get the buy-in from the community, and we're doing that collectively through meetings and also through patrols. We've been putting up street signs. If they want a street sign, we put a street sign that endorses what we're doing. Street signs look something like this. I know it's a small thing of it. We're also putting up posters in different areas on how to contact us. We've located a building. We actually have a brick and mortar right inside the zip code. We're looking forward to having a grand opening sometime in the next 2 weeks. We're going to use this building as also a resource hub where you can come and get good and relevant information on how we are working in your community, how you can work with us in our community, and the law enforcement agencies that we're working for. What we're trying to do is mitigate crime. Like a lot of the other people have said, we want to get in front of it. We want to find the would-be shooters, the could-be shooters, and the gonna-be shooters. We want to mitigate crime on the level of all the way from the elementary schools, K through 12. A lot of stuff that's happening is actually happening on social media. A lot of stuff that's happening on social media are our children, our grandchildren, our nieces and nephews. We have to be engaged in what's going on these things. These things fester on the weekend, and then they end up showing up through the weekend. That's how we end up with a lot of the shootings that are going on. So we want you guys to come in, be a part of what we're doing. Also, we have a contact number. I'll give you our contact number. It's area code 313-428-1988. Our address is 15920 Grand River, and that's Detroit, Michigan, 48227. I'm going to hand the mic over to Eric Ford to tell you what we're doing with the schools, the patrols that we're doing in the morning, the patrols that we're doing in the evenings, and also the safe school zones that we have done in the perimeter of our area for operation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, first thing I want to say, I got a Detroit police, I got the outstanding job today. I'm going to tell you what happened today just before we came over here. Had several guys doing patrol at the elementary school on Grand River and Hubble. And I got a call that it was a man on the porch at an abandoned house, and he was trying to snatch kids in there. And my team was down there with the principal. And I was on the way over there, but on the way over there, I couldn't think of the second precinct commander, so I called Captain May. And Captain May is out of town. And Captain May got on that phone and called the lieutenant of Special Ops. And lieutenant from Special Ops had me 3 cars over there in 3 minutes. And they got, yeah. So now they got this guy, they put him in the car. I told my team, good job. And I got to say something about the 8th precinct commander, because I got a spreadsheet about a young 16-year-old getting murdered. So I sent a team over there Monday, and he called me, but the commander called me that morning. He ain't worried about the spreadsheet. He said, Mr. Ford, 16-year-old was shot, and he got a little brother that's 16, so can you get over there and try to talk to this brother before somebody retaliate? And so I sent the team over there, and they called me back. They like, prayers, it's not in our zone. It's across the street. It's on the north side. We're on the west side. I said, well, guess what? Our zone is on the north side, too. This one city, one Detroit. So go over there on the north side and handle it. So they talked to the father. They talked to the son. The son promised he wasn't going back, try to do no retaliating and everything like that. I'm a little nervous, y'all, because Saturday, it'd be 39 years when my mother was murdered. So here in Detroit. So I'm a little, I'm just creeping up on that day. But other than that, I try to keep, I do mostly night patrols. I try to keep guys, we stay in the zones at the schools. We stay at this little store, McVee's, what's the name of it? McVee's, that's starting all the trouble on Greenfield. I spoke with the owner, and I'm trying to get her to become a green light. I might get with the 8th precinct, see if we can just go in there as a team and just have a talk with her, because they behind the glass. And last time I talked to the commander, a fight broke out over there. A shootout happened on the 2 blocks over. And when we went in there, a young lady saw Detroit 300, and she pulled us to the side, and we walked with her to the corner, and she showed us a house that was just sitting on the corner, empty, but they had cameras around the house. So we like, what is this about? So the relationship we've been having with DPD is I can't say nothing about it. And so can we give a hand clap to DPD, please? I guess that's about it. Yeah, everybody know I don't like getting on this microphone. Thank you all.
So this is a new way to fight crime, and over the next 2 years, we're going to see if it works, but I am extremely encouraged about what I'm hearing, because the reality is these folks can get information that the police can't, and they can talk to people in a way that police can't, and we're measuring it in each of their zones. Every single week they get a report card, and they know how they're doing. And the great thing is these 6 organizations are all helping each other. They're giving each other tips, trading information. It's going to be very exciting. Let me talk to you about what I've been trying to do. I never thought it would be so hard to cut property taxes for Detroiters. But no change in this city is easy, as I've learned. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about it today. And then at the end of it, I'm going to give a tool that every single Detroiter can go and see what their tax cut will be, exactly how it affects them, so that with all the noise out there, you can make up your own mind. But here's the reality of what we're doing. This is going to be a 17% property tax cut on average for people in Detroit. We're going to cut the taxes on buildings, houses, and the like, and we're going to double the taxes on the land, which means that you as a homeowner pay less. People who own abandoned buildings, they pay more. People who have surface parking lots, they pay more. People who have scrap yards and auto yards, they have all that space, they pay more. This is a city I believe we ought to have, that the homeowners ought to pay less, and the people who have neglected their property ought to pay more. Interestingly, we actually are having a debate about this. And what I'm shooting for is that November 5, 2024, when we go to the polls for the president, we're going to decide as a city, is this what we want to do? Because nobody has tried this before, and I'm going to show you why they didn't. Nobody has declined the way the city did, where a million people moved out and left all this vacant land behind. So here's what we're shooting for. With the great Speaker Joe Tate, I'm confident we're going to get this out of the House before they break in November. We expect to get through the Senate in the first quarter of next year, because the legislature has to let us have a vote. And then City Council has to decide to place it on the ballot. They're going to have to make that decision in the spring. And then we're going to have an entire year to sort out the facts. Because if you've heard anything about it, it's all kinds of conflicting information. You're going to have a year to sort out the facts and decide for yourself. Right? What can be better than that, than the people of this city deciding what their tax structure is going to be? Because I promise you, none of you had a say in the fact that you've got just about the highest property tax rates in the country. But you can have a say in whether you like to lower them on yourselves and move them on to the people who have abandoned property. And then, if you vote it, approve it November 24, your next tax bill on July 25, you see the cut. So it'll happen right away. So I want to thank our sponsors, Representative Stephanie Young from this district, Karen Whitsett, who represents part of this district, Tyrone Carter, and Alabas Farhat. They have been phenomenal. They are up in Lansing saying to the rest of the legislators of the state, Detroiters should have the right to decide this for ourselves. And they say it over and over. And the 4 reps from this district have also been strongly supportive, along with Karen Whitsett and Stephanie Young, Lori Pahutsky, Natalie Price. In fact, every single Detroit rep, there's only been one that voted against this, and actually she lives at Harper Woods and only has a little piece of Detroit. The Detroiters have been fighting for this, and we're going to keep going. So, you all know your property taxes are higher. How far out of line are they? We aren't quite the highest. We're pretty close. So we're at, if you're a homeowner with a personal residence exemption, You're at 67 mills. East Point 64, Warren's 57, Southfield's 56, Grosse Point's 53. You've heard from your friends in the suburbs that they're paying less in taxes. It's true. And this chart, to me, is a clear picture. All the cities in red are paying over 60 mills in taxes for their homeowners, and the cities in blue are paying in the 50s. And so we're up there with Harper Woods and Hazel Park and Melvindale, but Dearborn and Southfield and Grosse Point Warren, they're paying less. I don't think that's right. I'm trying to do something about it. So, what makes up your 67 mills? If you actually go through your whole bill, basically a big part of it is 20 you pay to the city of Detroit to run our operations. There's about 7 that go to the city of Detroit in debt, 6 that's state money that goes for schools, 13 pays school debt, 17 is county. That's not just Wayne County, it's the Intermediate School District, it's the Art Institute, it's the community college, et cetera, and a little over 4 to the Library Commission. That's what's on your bill today. And this is the way it works in Michigan. Your building, your house is taxed at 67 mills, and the land under your house is taxed at 67 mills. If you're a business owner, your business building is taxed at 67 mills, and the parking lot and the land under your business is taxed at 67 mills. This is the way it's always worked. Except in Detroit, it has encouraged the kind of speculation and blight that we've gotten used to. Because we've got so much vacant land in this city that the assessor has to assess it at close to zero. And so you can buy vacant lots in the city for $500. Any one of those lots in the suburbs would be $5,000. Okay, you can't go buy a lot in a suburb for $500 to build a house on. It's $5,000 minimum. Some are a lot more than that. And so we have 30,000 vacant lots in the city owned by private owners, and their average tax on those lots is $30 a year. Now, why do 30,000 people write a check to the county treasurer for $30 every year? It's so little money, the whole non-do it is a lottery ticket. And you know what those vacant lots look like, right? I mean, the city cuts them 5 times a year, or in many cases, the neighbors cut them. But if the neighbors don't, Brad Dick and his crew comes through 5 times a year, costs $100, because those people who own those vacant lots, they're not coming out and cutting them. And you know what's happening on these vacant lots? All kinds of illegal dumping, right? And we're spending millions to go out and pick it back up. I think those individuals should pay more than $30 a year to neglect that property. I got a whole bunch of people arguing with me in Lansing, but that's what I believe. They should pay more than $30 a year. And so why do they pay $30 a year? They're lottery tickets. They're hoping some big development is going to come along and somebody's going to pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm going to show you just one guy, and there's a number who do this. One guy owns all 261 vacant parcels. He bought them in the treasurer's auctions, basically $500 each. He owns 22 acres, but he spread them out so wherever anybody wants to build, they got to write him a big check. There's a lot of people doing this. He pays $6,500 for that 22 acres. You see what we've done. We've incentivized people who do not live in the city, and in many cases don't live in this country, to buy the vacant lots in Detroit and sit on them and wait for their payday. And we've had, with the development in this town, that payday has come. So here's my idea. Let's cut your bill for the homeowners by 17% by doing it this way. We're going to cut the taxes on all buildings and improvements. Now, this state constitution has a uniformity clause. So it doesn't matter whether it's a factory, whether it's an apartment, whether it's your house, all the improvements are going to get a 14 mil cut. And we're going to double the tax on all land. Doesn't matter whether it's the land under your house or a parking lot or a scrapyard, all land gets doubled. It's uniform. But what does it do? It changes incentives. So here's what's going to happen on your bill. That 20 mills you're paying today, if you vote in November to do this, you knock it from 20 to 6. You knock that tax bill right down, and you'll knock your overall bill down about 53 mills. That's what I'm proposing that you do. And when you do that, you'll get 97% of all Detroit homeowners will get some tax cut. And Stephanie Young put in the legislation, no homeowner gets a tax increase. So this isn't somewhere a few people win and a few people lose like it usually happens in this city. At least for homeowners, this is one where homeowners win, some other folks lose. So the 14 mil cut applies to improvements for all property owners. Somebody tells you we're picking and choosing? No. Every single building in this city gets a 14 mil cut. If you're a renter, your landlord gets a 14 mil cut. Apartments get a 14 mil cut. Retail buildings get a 14 mil cut. The Metro Detroit Black Business Owners Association is supporting this bill because these small businesses who've got these storefronts, they're going to see a cut. Factories on the part of their property where their factory is going to see a cut. But when you double the tax on land, who pays the most? It's the people who own the most land, right? And so who is that? Well, it's the owners of vacant lots. Those guys paying $30 are going to pay $60. I wish I could make it more, but we have to treat everybody the same. The owners of vacant commercial buildings. If you've got an abandoned commercial building, your building's considered zero because it hasn't any value. All you're doing is taxing the land. And I'm going to show you there's almost no taxes on vacant commercial buildings. Scrap yards and salvage yards. I don't have anything against the scrap yards and salvage yards, but we got more here than any place in America. They spread out over all this land because the tax on land is so cheap, and the owners of surface parking lots. That's who's going to get hit with the increases when the homeowners see reductions. This vacant apartment building today pays $251 a year in property taxes. I want you to think about what you pay. They pay $251 because the building's worth zero. The land under the building is only taxed at $251. I got a chance to talk to the neighbors, and here's LaTanya Patterson. She has lived in that small house, her family, for 40 years. She pays more in taxes on her house than the people who are owning that abandoned apartment building that's bringing down the whole neighborhood. And she thinks that's wrong. She thinks we should be doubling the taxes on the person who walked away from the apartment building, and she thinks she deserves a cut. Question is, you agree with her. This abandoned auto shop's been vacant for about 20 years. It pays $400 a year in taxes. They boarded it up and left it. But Marguerite Wynn lives next door. She's been there for 35 years. She remembered the auto shop when it worked. She saw it closed up. She's watched it abandoned. She's paying more in that nice house next door. Can you imagine that? Year after year living next to that abandoned house. Everybody who comes to visit you drives past the abandoned commercial auto shop before they get to your place. She's paying more in taxes on her house than that boarded up building is. I want to change that. Shouldn't seem much of a debate. Almost exactly 50 years ago, Coleman Young was elected mayor of Detroit. This was like the stretch run in his first election. Some of us still remember that, right? I was in high school in Detroit at the time. And here's what he said on the campaign trail. He said, right now, Detroit's tax structure rewards people who let their properties run down and penalizes those who build it up. Crazy, isn't it? That's what Mayor Young said 50 years ago. It's still crazy. And he could never have envisioned the amount of abandonment that we have. After 50 years, I want to give the voters a chance to change it. So, we've got more than 400 scrap yards and auto yards in this city. They're going to get about a 50% increase, which is still less than they're paying in the suburbs, but there aren't a whole lot of these scrap yards and auto yards in the suburbs. They've spread out into every square acre of Detroit until 3 years ago. I put a moratorium on them. So these guys are mad at me, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as we go along. But they got angry that 3 years ago I put a moratorium on. I said no more scrap yards and auto yards taking over our neighborhoods. And we're going to see an increase in parking lot. We've got more surface parking lots in downtown Detroit than almost any city in America. Why do we have vacant lots that we park cars on? Because the taxes are so low, they make money just parking the car. How many times have we complained about all the parking lots downtown? I want to increase the taxes if they leave it as a parking lot, but if they build up and they hire people and create jobs and make housing, then they'll get a break on what they build. We don't want the vacant lots. And so Stephanie Young, your representative, said, I want 3 groups protected when I sponsor this legislation. First, the side lot owners. We now have 25,000 side lots in the city of Detroit, been purchased from the land bank for $100. It's the biggest, yeah, you can clap for that, it's okay. It's the biggest transfer of land to government to city residents has been done in this country. And I love driving around and seeing what everybody's done with their side lots. Second, urban farms and community gardens. We've made sure they get no tax increase under this plan. They're doing a good job putting land to productive use, and they're supporting us. And she wanted to make sure property owners with an NEZ, a neighborhood enterprise zone, aren't hurt. And I'm going to talk a little bit about NEZs today, because there's some confusion on it, but you're going to understand at least, you may disagree with me, but you're going to understand why I'm trying to do what I'm doing. So here's what Stephanie Young said on side lots. We're going to put this protection in the bill. The average homeowner is going to see a 17% cut, $184. Your side lot will go up an average of $26. Great majority of people are going to be just fine. Representative Young said when she was a district manager, she sold sometimes 2 and 3 side lots to people. She ain't going to go back and look at them and say, hey, your taxes went up because you bought a side lot for me. And so she put language in that up to 4 side lots, there'll be no tax increase for anybody. And so that way, we want to reward the people who stayed and took the additional property. I want to talk about neighborhood enterprise zones. How many people in here have an NEZ exemption? Okay, so maybe 10, 15 in this room. The rest of you are probably going to be mad about what I'm about to tell you. So around 2008, 2009, Kwame Kilpatrick got some authority in Lansing that said the city of Detroit could take up to 15% of its land and call them neighborhood enterprise zones. And if you were lucky enough to live in one of those zones, you got a 19% tax cut. You only had to pay 54 mills. This has been since 2008, 2009. So you see all that green in there? Those are neighborhood enterprise zone locations. If you're in a neighborhood enterprise zone and you have a personal residence exemption, you own your house, you pay 54 mills. If you live in all the rest of the city, you pay 67 mills. Did you know that? Okay? I mean, it's terrible. And who has the neighborhood enterprise zone? It's Sherwood Forest, it's Indian Village, it's North Rosedale, it's East English Village. That what City Council adopted the map that's currently in place in 2021? All of the highest value houses in this city are paying less than the rest of the city. How is this fair? And yet I got people fighting me because you know what I want to do? I want to give everybody the neighborhood enterprise zone. I don't think it's right that only those sections are in green. What about all the people in the middle class people who stuck and stayed in this town when other people left? When is somebody going to do something for them? And so I thought I'd stand up and do something. And so here's what we know. That Stephanie Young said, okay, I agree with you about this NEZ thing, but there's a lot of people who have their NEZs, and the NEZ lasts for 15 years. She said, I don't want to take anything away. And so the legislation says, if you save more into your NEZ, you keep your NEZ. Till your 15 years runs out, you keep it. Think about this. NEZ is a 19% cut. Land value tax is a 17% cut. Some people do better on the land value tax. Her legislation says, whichever one is better for you, you get the lower tax. I'm not taking it away from you. But this is the interesting thing. The land value tax gives you a 14 mil cut, but you don't have to fill out any paperwork, and you don't have any expiration date. And a lot of the people signed up under Kilpatrick 2008, 2009, 2010 on the NEZs, a lot of their 15 years are starting to come up. And here's my issue with the NEZs. They last 15 years. Those green areas have 30,000 homeowners in them. You know how many managed to figure out how to file the complicated paperwork? 9,000. Which means 2/3 of the people who live there, who have hundreds of dollars in tax breaks, it's so complicated, they can't figure it out. And so I said, this is crazy. What if we made the whole city an NEZ? What if everybody got a 17% cut? What if you got it automatically? You didn't have to fill out any form. You didn't have to renew it. What if we applied it to everybody and we sent the bill to the scrap yards and the speculators? Would the city be better off? You have heard debate in this town in the last month for people who are saying, no, I want to keep this system. I want to keep these folks in the NEZs getting 19% less and the great majority of the city paying more, and I'm on behalf of the community. That's what they're saying. And I'm saying, does this make any sense? And so this is an interesting thing. If we pass this land value tax, I showed you before, red are the cities over 60 mills. If we pass it, Detroit now drops to comparable tax regs, to Grosse Pointe and Warren and Dearborn and Southfield and most of our neighboring communities. This is what we're trying to get done. So you would say, who could be against this? Why am I hearing all this stuff? And so this is a group. It's called Detroiters for Tax Justice. Now, I normally don't talk like this. Because normally, this town, people attack each other all the time. But they have put out so much ridiculous misinformation. You're going to lose your home. The mayor's going to steal your property. Rich people are going to get rich, something, whatever. But up in Lansing, there's an organized effort. Now, I've been around Lansing long enough to know when somebody's paying for an effort and when volunteers are active. And we got a few front people who are community people, but I know a paid effort when I see it. So I'm thinking, Lord, what is going on here? Who's taking the time to drive up to Lansing so they can pay higher property tax on their houses? And so I said, there's 4 possible suspects, right? There's the land speculators, Michael Kelly, who buys up all the land. There are the people who own abandoned buildings, right? Dennis Kefalino, so those could be them. Could potentially be the Maroons. They have a lot of land. I'm trying to figure out who's paying these guys. Could be the people who own the downtown parking lots. Could be the scrapyard owners. One of those folks is the suspect that's paying this, and these people go to the community meetings, and they don't say, hey, I'm on behalf of this group. They say, the mayor's plan is bad, and they put out a bunch of nonsense. And so I am going to show you, they put out their last statement, and you can figure with me if you can figure out who's paying them. So this is their last statement after all this stuff about how bad our plan is. They're offended at me saying scrapyards. They say they're actually metal recycling centers. This is their literature. I said, I think I got an idea here where this is going. And then the next thing they write, this is their literature. Let it be said that Detroit yards recycle tens of thousands of tons in iron and steel yearly. Why do we have to have all the recycling in our city? Why can't they take scrap yards in the suburbs? Okay, but now they're proud defenders, and this is my favorite, okay? Why does it have to be here? The yards also sell used auto parts at a tiny fraction of the charge dealerships charge. Their presence has benefit. This is what Detroiters for Tax Justice are putting out there. They're saying we need these 400 auto yards and scrap yards, so if you have a 2002 Chevy that needs an old fuel filter, you can get a little bit more discount at the auto yard instead of going to O'Reilly Auto Parts. I now know who is financing the campaign against it. I got it, okay? So now we know what we're up against. That's okay. As long as I know who's on the other side, it's a lot easier to deal with. So our proposal is simple. I want you to vote. Make your own decision. I actually think Detroiters, and maybe I'm biased because of the way that you've supported me, make pretty good decisions about the direction of the city. But our opponents have 3 strategies, and you'll hear it over and over. First is keep Detroiters from voting. And the second strategy is keep Detroiters from voting. And the third strategy is keep Detroiters from voting. That's all they want to do. Because if it gets to November 2024 and everybody in this city has the time to study this and they see what their tax breaks are, they know what the voters are going to do. So they desperately have to fight us in Lansing to keep Detroiters from voting. And here's one of the disappointments. There's been some Democrats on the other side. And here's our lead opponent, this fella, Dylan Wagella, of Garden City. This is our chief opponent, and here's his position. There's little proof the tax plan would work in Detroit or that city revenues would stay neutral. This deep thinker has decided that the people of Detroit can't make their own decision. But fortunately, we got a guy from Garden City who says, I'm not going to let Detroiters decide. I already looked at this, and I already know the answer. And this is what Joe Tate, the speaker, and Stephanie Young and our reps are fighting for. Is we're saying, okay, if you don't want it in Garden City, fine. But let Detroiters make a decision for ourselves, right? And that's what this is all about. So, how do I fight this? Now that I know what's going on, they caught me by surprise at first. I really couldn't believe people were lobbying to get higher taxes, but now I got it. So I got a simple strategy. We're going to fight back with facts and information. And I want you to help me today, because we are going to roll out something that is going to let everybody know the truth about how it affects their property. And so we are tonight introducing our land value tax estimator for your house. You'll be able to see it. If this works tonight, and I want a whole bunch of people to give us numbers, we'll put them in and we'll see if it works. If this works tonight, we're going to put it live on the website on Monday, so that everybody in the city can look it up. So that if you out with your friend and they said, I don't know about this land value tax, you can take out your smartphone and say, here, let me look up your number. Or you can open your tablet. You can show them on your computer. You can say, let me look at your number on your house. And here's the truth. It's going to vary. Because while 17% is the average, think about what we've got. We cut the taxes on the building, we lower the taxes on the land. So if you tend to have a big house and a little lot, you're going to get more than 17%. If you've got a little house and a big lot, you're going to tend to get less than 17%. And they played on this confusion, but 97% of the people are getting a tax cut. So we're going to get a chance for people to look up your own address and figure out whether this makes sense. So here's how it works. You go in and you got 3 steps. 1, you type in your address. Second, it's going to tell you your current 2023 taxes. We'll show you your summer tax and your winter tax together, your 2023 taxes. Not your solid waste fee, the 240 isn't counted, this is your taxes. And then third, we're going to show you that if this year the land value tax had been in effect, what would your savings have been in 2023? Whether it's $60 or $400, you're going to see. Because you can pretty well figure that that's going to be your savings every year going forward. Your taxes may go up or down, but the savings is going to give you a really good idea. And so here's a house on Fullerton, and I'm going to show you these, but here's how it's going to look for you. So it'll show you the address, show you your taxable value, and then it'll show you what you're paying in 2023, your summer and winter combined. This particular person pays $1,453. Then it's going to show you if the land value tax were in place right now, what's the tax bill you would have gotten? $1,254. And what's your savings a year going to be? In this case, it's $199 savings a year. Now, maybe that's worth fighting about. Maybe it's not. Everybody can decide that. This guy has a 14% reduction. What that tells me, without looking at the property, is he got a smaller cut than 17%. Tells me he's got a bigger yard than average, right? Because when we doubled the tax on the land, he got a little bit smaller cut. You're going to see people 18, 20% cuts. They got smaller yards. But everybody, at least 97%, are going to see a cut. Now, if you have a HOPE exemption, and these are people who are below the poverty level in the city, own their houses, and filled out their paperwork, they don't pay anything right now. Largely, it's seniors who work for their lives. They paid off their house. They're living on Social Security, maybe a little pension, and they get an exemption for property tax in the city. If you have a HOPE exemption and you click in your address, this is how it's going to look. You pay $0 today, you're going to pay $0 under the LVT. We don't change you on the HOPE exemption. If you have an NEZ, your change is probably going to be zero until your 15 years runs out. Okay, the NEZ is a 19% cut, land value tax a 70% cut, probably going to be a zero at first, but when your 15 years runs out, the land value tax is going to be worth $500 a year to you. So depending on which of those groups you are, you can see why it took us so long to do this. We set this up so every single person, Alvin Horn is here, our assessor, every single person's tax bill is set up, every person is in here, and we're going to be able, I believe, to be able to show you what you have. So we'd like you now to have some people, whether you're here in person or on the phone for the next 10 minutes or so. I'd just like people who are willing, stand up and give us your address if you want to see what your cut's going to be. And if this works well, we're going to put it out to everybody on Monday. So who is brave enough, wants to know first? Go ahead, what's your address? 17638 Winston. Are we going to put this up on the board, Kevin? Here we go. All right. So you are paying today $629 between summer and winter. You'll pay $500, you'll save $111. Okay? You probably wanted more, but that's okay. I want you to know what the truth is. So go ahead, yes. 16537 St. Mary's. All right, so today you're paying $891. You would pay $727. You'd save $164 a year. Go ahead, yes, sir. 18939 Shaner. That's a house. Okay, we're going to see if Kevin can spell Shaner. I'm being impressed. There it is. Yeah, he cheated. All right. So you are looking at $854 today, $743. You save about $111. Okay, yes. 13577 Woodmont. All right, you're not going to be happy with me. I'm not getting your vote. $27. I hope you have a small house and a really big yard. Is it? Okay. All right. Yes. 7457 American. Okay, give me somebody better than the last one. All right, you're going to look at $86 in savings. Go ahead, in the back. 14204 Plainview. You've got $85 a year in savings. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
20316 Ashton.
Okay. You heard that?
I think so.
Ashton? $171 a year in savings. Go ahead.
16094.
16094.
094.
There we go.
$215 in savings. Okay, who's next? Go ahead, call it out. Okay? Get out of the way so you guys can see it. Whoa! Okay, I'm guessing big house, small yard, huh? That's what he's got, $546. All right, go ahead. The lady behind you or the gentleman behind you, go ahead. 14377 Grandmont.
There's been a change in your tax status. Did you roll over to an NEZ homestead recently or a HOPE exemption? Yes, so you have an NEZ homestead now, but after June, so we don't have it updated for that yet, but we will soon.
But if you come up afterwards, they will look it up and give you an answer, but that your tax status is changing right now. This is really interesting. The lady's been standing patiently in the back. 16725 Avon. $287 savings. Go ahead.
16745 Foria.
Fourier, F-O-R-R-E-R.
There you are. $192.
3804 Hudson.
You got it? $204 savings. Go ahead.
So I'd like to thank DPW for helping me with the water tobacco I have. But my address is 16822 Patton.
16822.
$181 savings. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. 11434 Cortland. Portland. Everybody heard it but me. All right.
Port.
There you go.
Thank you.
Is that you? Yes, that's correct. Okay, $97. Go ahead, yes. $187.
22469 Ray.
34422.
22469 Ray. R-A-Y.
$127. Go ahead, lady in purple, if you're allowed. She's a $213 savings. Go ahead, just call it out loud.
15361 Kentfield.
164.
We'll get there.
16706.
Glad.
They are, but he's rolling.
Is that, oh.
I don't know, but he's rolling with it. I don't know. He knows.
BL.
They're ready, 'cause he's straight to me.
Here we go.
$143.
He's rolling, he's just, you know.
Did you
Sorry,
get
one more
that?
time.
Okay.
Oh, tax exempt property.
You are tax exempt. So if you might want to sit down. Whatever the property is listed for, you're not on the tax rolls.
22491 Lewin, Leewin.
Okay, $169. All right.
4070 Glendale. That's not, no, 4070 Glendale.
$316. Okay, you got a pretty small yard?
14503 Grandmont.
I have an NEZ.
All right, so we got an NEZ. So you aren't going to get anything in the short run, but after your NEZ expires, you'll have about $190 a year. Do you know how many years you have left to run on your NEZ? Okay, you don't know, okay. So you'll keep your current deal, your current NEZ deal is better, so you'll keep that till your 15 years runs out, 6 more years, and then you'll save $190 a year permanently after that. Okay?
7169 Linsdale.
Thank you.
LIN?
7169.
He's having trouble with the spelling here.
Is it 2 L's?
LINSDALE.
All right, LINS.
716.
LINS. S, no, back up the D, S. NS. You guys want me to do it? You're just messing with me now. L-I-N-S.
It's not showing up.
S? S.
It's
Nothing comes up in the L.
1 second. What's the parcel number?
All right, he's gonna find it. We'll see how good Kevin is. Now, how do we know that's his address?
So we looked up your address in our system, and this is your parcel number.
What address did you look up?
7169 Linsdale Street.
Is that you, 7169? Okay, so you've got $54. Okay, in the orange, go ahead. M. There you go. Okay, you're not going to be happy with me. Oh, you're an NEZ. Okay, now I feel better. Okay, so you'll get $20 the first year. We're better than your NEZ. And when your NEZ expires, it'll be a permanent $188 cut. Okay? How many years you got left in your NEZ? Do you know? Okay. All right, good. I'm glad to see that was an NEZ property. Go ahead. Go ahead. You can do family. Oh, ho, ho. Wow. Okay. So you must have a big house and a small lawn. Okay, you're already winning here. All right.
145.
COY. There you go. $133 on the other one. Go ahead.
Hey, what's going on? I'm one of those people that you're talking about that you didn't take a house from. So I don't have an address. I'm homeless.
Okay. All right, we got some folks here who can help you with that.
No,
Okay.
we should talk about this now.
Okay.
Like, we need to be transparent. Like, there's a whole study on Georgetown law.
Okay. All right. Well, right now we're going to do the ad. I'm going to. Hey, hang on. No, it's okay. No. Anthony, leave him. It's fine. It's fine. There's going to be a time for your question. I'm going to answer it. Okay. So let's just. You're fine. There's nothing wrong. But I'm going to answer your question. You can be the first question up when we finish this. All right.
We have someone online.
Okay. All right.
Online.
We're going to do addresses for one more minute because it sounds like people are anxious to get on to other things. Yes. Okay, $193. We'll take two more, and then we'll do them in the back if anybody wants to go privately. Annie Holt, I see. 14212 STAH. There you go. $332, Annie. All right. Go ahead, yes. Morale? All right, $321 for you. Go ahead, last one. What's your address? 19,000 Pennington.
Pennington with a P?
P-E-N-N?
Can you find it? Yeah, I'm finding it.
Okay. All right, he's not popping up, but he's going to find the parcel number. So if you go on the website, you can see about 95% of the addresses work, but when they don't, if you look on your tax bill, there's a parcel number, and you could type the parcel number in and 100% of those work. Mm-hmm. Well, I should probably have said that not so quickly. Can you say the address again?
No, we don't have it.
19000 Pennington. Can you find a parcel number?
No, we can't find the parcel number. Is there by chance another address that we can look at?
Okay, so they're going to set up in the back, and he's going to look it up. He'll figure out between your name and the rest of it, and he'll get you there. Okay, I can take one last one. Go ahead, loud. No, no, the bottom one, bottom one. There you go. Oh, you got an NEZ, right? You do have an NEZ, don't you? Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So we'll save you $15 the first year, and when your NEZ expires, you'll have a permanent cut of $156. Okay, so how do you feel about this app? All right.
Nice job, guys.
So on Monday, we are going to have this on the website, and I just want you to talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, show them how it works, because this is the conversation I want to have for the next year. There's people in here got $30, $40, $50 cuts. Maybe they think it's not worth it. You might want to vote no, but that's okay. What I want to do is for you to be informed and for you to make a decision. So thank you to Kevin and Alvin and the team for putting together that great app. And with that, we're going to start taking questions. We're going to start with the gentleman here who had the question before. And the people on the phone, can we get to the slide on what they have to do? Okay, so we will take one question here, one question on the phone. We're going to hold everybody to 60 seconds so that everybody gets a chance, and we will go back and forth. If you're on the telephone, raise your hand, or if you're on a cell phone, press *9, and we will get you in. But let's begin by tell us your name and where you live. So, sir, go ahead. I'm sorry about the way we started the conversation before, but I want to hear what you have to say.
My name is Charles Cousin. I'm sure you know me by now. So I flew out here from New York, no family, just with, I bought a house on the land bank, and I flew out here and packed my bags, and I'm here. And I've been working on this house, and compliance reps have been switching, and there hasn't been transparency, and one thing leads to another. Somebody from the land bank kicked down my door. And I've been going about it in a nonviolent, cool, calm, collected way, because that's who I am. But what's happening to me is not right, and I just want you to help me rectify this situation, because I'm out here to promote positivity and not to shake the boat, but things are not right.
Okay. I'm going to help you, but let's talk about what happened. So when did you buy the house?
Well, I bought a house about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
I know Tammy said it was 2 years ago, but it wasn't 2 years ago. Yeah, the communications, there's been a lapse in communications, but because the office is not open to the public, because the system is only one way. So like when you contribute or when you put or upload attachments, you can't see what you uploaded. There's no receipts. So there's a lack of you guys need help with that.
So let me tell you what we're doing, and we're gonna do everything we can to help you. But what has happened in many houses is folks bought the house, didn't do any work on it. Of course, we have an agreement that says you'll get it done in 6 to 9 months, but as long as you're making good faith progress, we normally let you keep going. What have you done to the house to improve it?
Well, I cleaned it up. I bought windows. I bought doors. I installed these doors in these windows.
Did you put the windows in?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, where's Tammy? So Tammy, can you help him? If he actually put in the doors and windows, I hope we're going to help him. Go ahead. So this is Tammy Daniels, Pennsylvania. Stand up.
So Mr. Cousins did purchase the house about 2+ years ago. He purchased the house 2+ years ago. We did not receive any updates, and we took the house back. And so at the last charter mandated meeting, I went to talk to him. I asked him to send me the proof of his updates, and I never got anything.
Okay. Have you got pictures of what you've done? Can you show them to me? Okay, it sounds like we've got a communication on where you're sending stuff. If you really got pictures of what you've done, we still have the house, don't we? Okay, so we can fix this, but you got to show me you've really gotten the work done.
She's saying that there were no emails between us.
No, I just want to see the work that you've done. Have you got pictures of the windows in?
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Just an overview. That's the before. That's what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. Yeah. And this is what the plan is.
Okay.
So you see windows and doors, and you see it cleaned up, and you see a plan. I put this proposal
All right.
together. I sent it to Tammy.
Okay, hang on.
She emailed me back, "You lied in church."
Okay, hang on. So hang on. I'm if you're doing work, I'm going to help you. Okay, but I've never known Tammy to lie. But his pictures are impressive. Can we please work this out and give him another chance? Okay, she says yes. All right, but I just got to say, I got a lot of neighbors in this town call me up saying the land bank sold that house, the person never fixed it up, it's still empty, it's dragging down the neighborhood. So we've got a responsibility to the neighbors to make sure you're making progress. But if you're making progress, we're going to support you in your dream. All right? All right. You got another chance. Okay. All right. Not too often I get hugs at these sessions. Yes. Okay. Mother Bernice has claimed privilege to ask the next question, whether we like it or not.
There you go. There you go. And I love my mayor, so he won't hear nothing negative about him. I've been going with him for working with him for a long time. God. Good evening to everyone. I want to let you know I've been around here a long time, Coleman Young days, so you know how long I've been around here. And I've been through politics a long time. Mr. Mayor, I got a problem. I bought a house in '75. It was beautiful, everything. My children was grown. I raised them in that house, 4-bedroom house, 2-car garage. And I sold it in '96 of January. I believe it was January, June, I don't know. But anyway, let me ask you this, baby. I want to know, my son lives down the street. He got a beautiful home. My daughter lives on, it's 1422 West Grand Boulevard, all right? My son is at 93 West Grand Boulevard. My daughter is at 48. So they're between the two houses. They got beautiful houses between the two of them. This particular house is horrible. I cry every time I go to my son's house. 1422 West Grand Boulevard, right on the corner of Hancock.
Do you know who owns it?
I'm going to tell you this. He died 5 years ago. Okay. I was told that my name is still on the property, so I went down to the taxes and I paid almost $400, $4,000 rather, 400. Oh, $4,000 for the taxes in January. All right, then I went, they told me that it wasn't on the deed. So I paid $200. My daughter went upstairs over there on Washington and found out my name wasn't on the deed. The man's still name on there. So I got a problem.
1996.
Yeah, I know, baby. I sold it in '96. Okay. All right. So my son said, Mommy, you don't want it no more. But if you look at the house, it looks horrible, y'all. I mean, the windows is all broken where they had, somebody was living in there for one time, and the mattress is up against the window, and it's horrible. The backyard, the grass is high as the fence. It's horrible. I would like to know, can I get that house back? My son said, no, leave it alone. But I have a plan with the veterans. They will put 4 veterans in there to live for me. So tell me, should I get the house back or what? What do you think?
My guess is that if you sold it in 1996, you probably are not going to get it back. But I'm going to give you a good lawyer. Is Conrad here? Okay, I have a former Chief Justice of the Michigan Supreme Court. And Mother Bernice, he's going to look at that deed and he's going to tell you whether you have a case or not. I doubt it, but if there's anybody who can figure out how to get it back, it's Conrad. So, well, then that's a second question. If they're neglecting the house, okay, and so there's nobody in it? So then, Tammy, we should file, if it's been abandoned, yeah, there's only so many choices here. After 25 years, you can't get it back directly. So either Conrad's going to help you or Tammy's going to help you. Those are the only 2 routes. All right. So Conrad's going to take first shot. My guess is that you're going to end up coming to a meeting and talking about how great Tammy Daniels is, and I'll be really happy. So she's the one that's going to sue to get that control of the House. Okay. All right. Between Conrad and Tammy, you're in good hands. All right. Let's take somebody on the phone. Tell us your name and where you live.
Miss Ethelyn Carroll, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Ethelyn Carroll.
Excuse me. I wanted to know what my tax reduction is. Is it too late? You didn't take
Kevin, can you tell her? Tell us what your address is.
6096 North Field, North, F as in Frank, IELD.
$70. Okay, that one didn't go over very well. All right, let's take somebody here. Go ahead. Good evening.
One of the residents of the city of Detroit that made 3 trips to Lansing, Michigan. I am a part of the tax justice, being that I'm a resident of the city of Detroit, born 1950, living in a house for 50 years, and I have served my community. I'm community advisory council for District 4. I do read. I'm a teacher. I read the 5 bills that were taken to Lansing, and I look for detail because I've learned from my foreparents that the devil is in the details. I bought used cars, and the contract was not what they said. So I've learned by experience to read for myself. I advise everyone here to read for yourself. I have a question, Mr. Mayor. As I read through the document, I saw no mention of scrap yards or sidewalks.
Right. Right. So this is what I explained before. All land in the city will have the taxes doubled. So it doesn't matter whether it's a vacant lot, a downtown parking lot, a scrapyard. Everything's doubled. It's uniform. That's what it says in the bill.
My next question is, as I continue to read the bill, I want to know, and either yes or no, as I read through the bill, I did not see where the taxes stay the same. Is there a guarantee that all of my residents that are getting these tax breaks, are they going to continue to get the tax breaks, or is it going to change?
Yeah. So if this passes in November, the voters of Detroit cut the mills by 14 mills. That's permanent. Now, 4 years later, could the voters vote to say, I want to have a 1 mill for the police department? But in Michigan, the only people that can change property taxes are the voters. So once you cut 14 mills, it's permanent unless somebody comes along with the millage campaign in the future and the voters change that.
I've got lots of questions,
Okay.
and I know that I'm only at 1 minute.
Okay.
And so I will see you again. I came from Jeff Chalmers, and I'll continue to ask
So
questions.
I love, and I wish we'd find somebody who could spend some time with you, because you sound like you're very passionate, and I would love to be able to go through all your questions, and maybe at a future meeting, you might feel a little bit differently. But thank you for those questions. They were great questions. Let's take somebody from the phone.
Pat LaFleur. Pat LaFleur, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Pat LaFleur.
Hi, I was on the meeting with District 7 where the assessor. Hello?
Go ahead. You were talking about the assessor.
Yeah, and he was talking about there was a 17% reduction in the taxes. And also he said that the land part of it probably would go up.
Right.
So I'm trying to get an understanding how this is beneficial when it helps you in one way, and another way you're paying more.
Great question. So this is the reason I put in all those addresses. Today, on your tax bill, the assessor put 95% of your bill on your house and 5% on your land, on average. That's in the city. So almost all of a homeowner's tax bill is on the house. So when you double the land, it's a very small amount. When you cut 14 mills off the house, you end up 17% down. Now, NEZs don't actually raise it on the land. So the NEZs are 19% down. They're about 2% better deal. But that's why we did the estimator, so that you could see for yourself. And you saw a lot of variation. And if we took the time to put the pictures of the houses up on the screen, you would have seen those with the biggest cuts had big houses and small yards, and those with the smallest cuts would have had little houses and big yards, because the land gets doubled and the house gets reduced. But at the end of the day, 97% get some reduction. That's what he was saying. All right, who's next? Go ahead, tell us your name and where you live.
And I'm in District 7. But I came here tonight, Mayor, because, although my district is wonderful, they do a great job in answering all my questions. The problem I have is with the city services.
Okay.
Particularly BC, as well as some of the other offices. Now, I moved back home after 30 years, and I bought several land bank homes as well as the tax foreclosure. And the problem that I'm having is, one, you file a complaint on C-Click Fix-It as to illegal dumping or some other activity going on near your property,
right?
And they ticket you. Now, that I don't understand, and I've appeared in the Zoom court to no avail. I've been ticketed for things that are not even on my property line. They belong to the neighbor next door to me. Despite me showing the judge the property lines, I was still ticketed for it.
So how many houses do you own?
3.
And how many of them are occupied?
Excuse me?
How many of those 3 are occupied?
2.
Okay. Are your problems more in the vacant house, or your problems more in the occupied houses?
The problem is with, one, the vacant house.
Okay. So people are dumping stuff on the lot of the vacant house.
Right. The next door neighbor put a boat and 2 vehicles in my backyard. I called the police, no response.
Okay, now hang on. Chief White now has a team that is hauling away cars and boats out of yards. So have you talked to Mona, your district manager?
No, because it's not in her district. This is over near Schaefer.
It's in this district.
Schaefer off of Keeler.
Okay, so Carla, where's Carla? I was like, Carla, and were you and Dave Bell? Let's talk, because here's our problem, and this is why we have a judge in a hearing, and I'm surprised to hear that you lost. We have some people who have abandoned houses who pay no attention to the stuff clutters and the neighbors call and complain. We have other cases where people are doing their best, somebody dumps in the middle of the night and it's not their fault. And we do our best to sort it out, and the judges do their best, but you would not have come here if you didn't feel like you were treated wrong. So I want Carla and Dave Bell to follow up with you, and let's see if we can't help you.
Okay, my second thing is, I received a deed for the homes from the land bank as well as the assessor office.
Okay.
But then I find out later on that, unbeknownst to me, I'm penalized $200 because I was supposed to go and file something else, which was never told to me.
Okay.
Now, $200 is insignificant, but at the end of the day, it's about notice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to be in compliance, then you got to tell me those things. I can't be surprised by you're saying now when I look it up, the house is still in the old owner's name, but I have the deed to it in mine.
All right.
The city can sell something, but don't do the transfer.
Okay, so I don't know what to tell you. The land bank closes 200 houses a month, and I am not getting a lot of complaints that there wasn't a notice. So we can look at what happened on this one, but that's not a frequent complaint I'm getting. I'm more concerned about you having to pay for dumping on your property that wasn't yours. So let's see if we can help you on that one. Okay, we got 1 minute. We got to move to everybody. Okay. Okay.
Unfortunately, someone else beat us to the punch because we missed the deadline. But they are part
They're parking trucks on the grass or in front of the house?
Just to
Okay, Chief White, you want to talk about your new program?
So what I need you to do, ma'am, could you get, Commander, could you get her information? We have a unit that's been empowered to enforce those laws, so just let us know, we'll come out, and we'll follow up with you, okay? All right.
So Chief White now has a team of 10 people. If there are 3 or more cars or trucks on a lawn in your neighborhood, call your neighborhood police officer. DPD will come out. They will give them a warning. They'll give them a week or 2 to move them, and then they'll haul them away. But this nonsense in the city of all these cars and trucks sitting in these yards week after week is going to come to an end. And so they're out doing it now. The unit's up and running. But you can call your neighborhood police officer if you're experiencing it. Let's take somebody from the phone.
Cesar Mora, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. One, Mr. Mayor, can I get that number as well? I'm in District 6. We had that same problem with vehicles and commercial vehicles being parked in empty lots on the main street.
So we're going to take your address offline, and the chief is going to send his team out right away. All right?
Okay. Secondly, thank you very much. Second issue is, as you mentioned, land-based lots end up being a dumping ground. You end up cutting them a couple times throughout the summer. I live in the middle of my block. At the end of the block, and I'm a returning citizen back from Oakland County, back to my original neighborhood. My family owns a couple of houses on the block. We do our best to keep our block clean, safe, lit, well taken care of. At the end of our block, on our nearest cross street, there are 4 empty lots there. I can go back 30 years in my memory, and there's never been a house there. Those are our land bank properties. I've been trying to buy them. I keep getting told no because I'm one house too far away from the perimeter that they established.
10 seconds.
Now, we do have a side lot next to our home that falls within, according
So did you get the side
to the
lot?
map. But is it?
Okay, hang on. I'm going to help you here. Did you
we have our side
You got the side lot. So here's what I would say to you.
home.
There is now a neighborhood beautification program where a group of neighbors can not only ask for the 4 lots on the corner, but you could get a grant from the city of $5,000 or $10,000 to fix those lots up. So if you go to the city website and look at the neighborhood beautification grants, and which district are you in? Which city council district?
I'm in District 6.
District 6.
So
And
Ms. Torres,
Eva
yeah.
Torres is right here. She is the master at
Hey,
winning
Ms. Torres.
applications for the neighborhood lot grants.
Okay, so whatever was wrong with that one, the engine vibration, I swapped it over to another aircraft that's over in the 4 right path.
Cut that off.
Should protect us going.
Okay, so Eva, if you can get in touch with Eva, her cell phone number is on the website if you don't already have it. And let's see if we can't find a way to beautify those 4 lots with some city help. All right, who's next? Go ahead.
Oh, you are. Hello, hello, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for giving me this time. I have need for the city to help us, our church at 14179 Evergreen.
Okay.
We have built a $1.5 million new church, which is on Evergreen. Our old church is behind it on Vaughn Street.
Okay.
We have been there since the 80s. We purchased the church. We didn't purchase it, but we partnership with the original owners that built that church there. They built it from the ground.
And what
The
can
old brick
I
church.
do to help you?
What happens is they have, and Wayne County admitted they made a mistake. They have put us on a tax roll. We used the old church for, warehousing, holding different things in that for people, for our community. They have put us on a tax roll, took the church, somebody in Florida bought it off taxes. And now we got to fight with them. We got to get our own lawyers and things like that. They done took a house that we had that always been on tax exempt. They already got that. Somebody done got it, moved in, fixing it up. Now we need this other church, the old church.
Yeah.
I'm asking for help.
You're going to have to hire a lawyer and sue the Wayne County Treasurer. I mean, your problem is, if what you're saying is accurate, the treasurer, although the question is why you wouldn't have been getting those tax bills, but if the treasurer changed your status from nonprofit to taxable, you should have gotten 3 years of bills before they could have foreclosed. But if they foreclosed improperly, we've had the chief judge of the circuit court hears these cases. We've had times where the judge has set aside the treasurer's sale because of a notice problem that you're talking about. So you got to get a lawyer, and if what you're saying is right, the circuit court can help you. Okay? And if Conrad's around and give you some advice on how to do it, maybe suggest a lawyer to you. So, Conrad, why don't you stand up? He said, I hate to suggest suing one of my fellow elected officials, but sometimes they make mistakes. All right, let's take somebody on the phone.
Jerica's iPhone, you unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Jerica's iPhone.
What's up? My phone.
Jerica's iPhone.
What am I going to do with you?
Amanda Johnson, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Amanda Johnson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you for your availability. My issue is regarding a income tax bill on a non-city employee pension. I received a 10-day demand letter 2 years after the due date. I was told the city did not have my correct address, but the correct address was on my return. I complained and requested a hearing with the City Review Board because of the penalties and interest on the debt. I was granted a hearing. However, I later received notification the Review Board had been disbanded during COVID. I was instructed to appeal to the tax tribunal, requested a hearing, but was denied. Could you please help with this? I've appealed to
hang on,
everyone.
I'm trying to understand, is this property tax or income tax?
Income tax.
Well, why would income tax go to the tax bureau?
On a pension.
Huh?
And I've talked with my council person, Justin Bahari, who was city treasurer at the time, and Mr. Epps in your office, and everyone seemed to feel that I had a valid concern, but they couldn't do anything about it.
So here's the thing. Last week, we have a new city treasurer named Nikhil Patel. I don't know if he's going to treat you better than the last treasurer, but I know he's going to look at your case with fresh eyes. So if you'll give us the address, Nikhil, you have anything you want to say? Stand up and introduce yourself to the city.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikhil Patel. I'm the Deputy CFO and Treasurer. Started actually 2 months ago. It feels like a lot more than that, but we will, if I get your information. The state of Michigan administers our city income tax and overall tax. So the state administers it, and so what we'll do with this process is we'll get your information, we'll get you connected to the state, and we can walk you through that process to figure out what's going on here.
So if you leave your contact information, Nikhil will call you tomorrow and he'll take you through your options.
Ms. Johnson, please accept your invitation to the break.
All right, I lost track. Over here? Okay.
About a property left. I'll see what I'll finish making my comment.
Oh, hang on. You got to speak louder if you're happy. I don't think the mic's on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Puritan.
Okay.
Judge Mallett reached out to him today, but I have to bring up
Good.
with Judge Mallett.
All right. Well, we got the best lawyer in the world here.
Yes,
That's great.
and the question-
Okay. All right.
Both. The first, will the land tax value? That's one question.
It has no effect on the schools. We don't change the school taxes at all. Only the city taxes.
Financial Review Commission, nothing to do with that,
No,
correct?
nothing to do with that.
Okay. And also, what can we do about illegal dumping? And also, my sister on 12717 Riverdale, she has a tree that's about to fall on her house and almost hit a man last year.
Okay.
So who do I reach out to for that?
Is Brad here? Brad, will you cut down the sister's tree?
Okay.
Okay, so talk to Brad. Talk to Brad. He'll take care of the tree. All right. Go ahead. All right, let's take somebody for the phone.
Ms. Luella Pizzuti, Luella Pizzuti. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, thank you. This is Luella Pizzuti. I'm from Brightmoor, and I have 2 questions. One should be a real quickie. In an effort to sort out the land value tax facts, I want to get a yes or no answer from you. Are or are not up to 4 side lots exempt under this plan?
No, up to 4 side lots, your overall tax bill will not go up. That's what we're saying. So if you happen to be one of the people here who had like only a $50 reduction, but you had 4 side lots that went up $26 each, you get no overall increase. You stay the same. So that's what Representative Young's language says. You get no tax increase up to 4 side lots.
Thanks for that clarity. It's been showing up as exempt in the media, so I just want people to know. Also, as I'm sure you know, planning and development is almost a year into developing a framework plan in Brightmoor.
Right.
And it's been a bumpy road, my friend. We've gotten excellent support from Pro Tem Tate, Department of Neighborhoods, and the Ombudsman. But planning doesn't report to them, they report to you. So my question is, why should we trust planning to deliver a community-centered framework plan when they refuse to effectively invite residents to meetings, to deliver any meaningful way for people who miss meetings to learn what they missed, and consistently fail to deliver on their promises?
Well, I'm going to let Antoine Bryant, the planning director, he actually works for you, and he's going to give you an explanation.
Ms. Pizzuti, its name is Antoine Bryant. It's a pleasure to hear from you. We have already held 25 public meetings, in addition to our community office hours that we have, and we have invited our residents to the office. We have put our recordings on a website that has the minutes and the recordings. We have included notes from the meetings, and we are putting agendas for the meetings that are upcoming. We look forward to continue to engage with you, Ms. Pizzuti, and you can reach me at my direct office to talk further. Thank you.
All right. So if you will give, if you'll give your phone number to the person on the phone, Antoine Bryant's going to give you a call tomorrow, and he'll definitely get you engaged.
Please accept
All
the
right.
invitation to the breakout room.
Who's next? All right, we got the lion stuff. I like it. Guys, can we really not get microphones to work here?
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, I can hear you.
Hello, my name is Duggan at One Stop Rehabilitation Center. I have been trying to acquire a building so that I can open up a community center so that I can help the seniors, youth, meal distribution, financial literacy programs, day programs for seniors to come out so they can give their caregivers a break during the day so they can maybe pursue a career or just get some rest. Okay, I've been trying to acquire a building, and since like 2015, 16, I contacted the Michigan Land Bank, and they told me that the commercial properties was given to the Detroit Land Bank. I have since looked at some properties that the Detroit Land Bank has, and they've taken them off the market. I don't have the money to fix it up, okay? But the service and the value that I will bring to the city, I feel like there's grants and things like that in place. And also, the properties are they're decreasing in value as time. They're being illegal dumping on these properties. And I am a homeowner, and I'm a side lot owner, and I plan to be a business owner, and I don't want to have to pay extra taxes that someone is not doing. Like, they're letting these properties diminish, and I could be putting them to good use.
Okay. So so which district do you live in?
District 1.
Okay, so Carla, let's see if we can't work this out, but it doesn't sound like you're in the right place. The land bank doesn't have commercial property. The city planning department has the commercial property. In the
60 East Grand Boulevard.
Okay. Okay, so the city's got residential, the land bank's got residential. 60 East Grand Boulevard. We'll look it up right now. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to try and get you an answer. Okay, so the land bank owns the property. What's the status on 60 East Grand Boulevard? It's very unusual, commercial property sitting at the land bank. Okay, so Tammy Daniels is going to talk to you after this. And let's see, because it sounds like you found a property that got caught in limbo, and I appreciate you bringing it to our attention. So let's dig into it and figure out what's going on.
And I'm also a community partner with the land bank as well.
Okay. Okay. So let's see what we can do. All right. Let's take one from the phone.
Sheila S. Sheila S., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Sheila S.
Hi there. Several questions. I did post it in the chat. In this millage increasing on the land.
Right.
Now, my house was foreclosed through that mortgager, yet the new owner who watched it on the foreclosure list and bought it, yet there's lien still on the land through ABN AMBRO. So the house being sold is only their ownership, but every time I go down to the assessor's office, they even kick me out. They wouldn't talk to me because they say, you don't own the land anymore. And I took my court to the Supreme Court, and our district court was empty, and the district court judge from another district judged over something he had no judge over, meant over. And this was through Bank of City Mortgage and ABN City Mortgage and that I took to court.
10 seconds.
And they still holding a lien. They want $71,000 for a lien they say is still in my name and be holding. But they won't talk to me. I went, and the house on the roof on the garage been fixed twice, and this mortgager won't tell me, the assessor won't give me because it's between Sawyer and Sawyer at 6 Mile in the Osborne District, 48234. I know I'm not District 1, but I have information that my even land was in the wrong district.
Okay, so your mortgage company is trying to get $71,000 back from you. Is that the issue? I'm not sure. What would you like the city to do about that? All right, we lose her? Okay, I'm not sure there's something we're going to be able to do about that one. All right, who's next?
Okay, so the mic is not working, but I can speak loudly enough. Okay, it's going now. Good evening. I'm one of those people, sorry I did not wear my T-shirt today, but I'm one of those people who's Detroiters for tax justice. Born and raised in Detroit, inside of the Burwood Wall. I am one of those people that Mary Young would call the obstreperous Negroes, the ones who would not just go along to get along. Okay, so first of all, I feel insulted that you think that we need to be bought in order to go up to Lansing to be civic-minded people. We have questions. The only reason it's going to go on the ballot in November is because we were up there saying, this is too fast. There are 5 bills here, 5 bills in lawyer language that nobody seems to be able to cut through. Okay, so that's wrong. You know, you insult us to think that we have to be bought to work on our behalf. I'm not finished. Okay, the other thing is that I keep seeing in your literature, 67 bills. My summer bill is 76.2222. You don't use the summer bill. I don't know where that
10. Do you have a personal residence exemption? Okay.
The estimator. What I see on that estimator, would that be my bill or not?
That would be your bill if the land value tax were in effect in 2023. Okay, so we showed you your 2023 bill and what the difference would be. But Alvin Horn is here, and Alvin, maybe you can sit down and look at the bill and explain the difference in the bills. Okay, no, but he'll be able to show you. we took these numbers off the bill, so he'll be able to show you where the difference is. Yeah, yes, we do. Yes, we do. But Alvin will go in the back and he'll show you the structure. Thank you. All right, let's take somebody from the phone.
Pat LaFleur, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes, not a question, just wondering if the attorney that's there, Conrad, is willing to give his information out so that we can ask more questions.
Well, okay.
Or email address.
So Conrad is the city's attorney, so it's got to be related to the city. Is there something that you have a particular concern about?
Well, yes, it is, but it's kind of personal.
Okay. Okay. If it doesn't relate to the city, he can't be your lawyer.
No, I don't want him to be my lawyer. I just want to ask him a question.
All right. If you leave your name and number, Conrad, do you think you can call tomorrow? Yeah. So Conrad's going to call you tomorrow, but he's not going to represent you.
Please
okay.
accept your invitation to the breakout room.
Who's next?
Over here.
Go ahead.
My name is Lisa Delaney. I live in District 1. My address is 16822 Patton. Last summer, the city came out and fixed the sidewalk in front of my house. In the process, my sprinkler system was broken. So with them coming out to fix the broken sprinkler system, the guy broke the valve on the sprinkler system, and I didn't know. My foot was broken at the time. A month later, I realized that my water had been running for an entire month because it didn't get turned off. So in trying to get that, so I'd like to thank DPW because they did come out and get the valve fixed, but my water ran all summer out in front of the house, and so now I'm looking at a $700 water bill.
So Gary, Ron broke her water. Would you please fix the $700 water bill? Okay, Gary Brown's going to take care of it. And I'm really glad to hear that Ron Brun just came out and fixed the sprinkler. That's great. Okay? So Gary's going to take care of the water bill. Let's take somebody from the phone.
Next we have Patterson. Patterson.
Ron is so happy that came out that
Patterson.
way.
Please unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Go ahead.
Patterson.
Hi, good evening. This is Diane Patterson from the Grandmont neighborhood in District 1. Of course, I'm in favor of the reduced taxes, but I realize that taxes pay for the services that we complain about that aren't being done efficiently, effectively, or timely. And while taxes should be reduced, it should be a good thing. But my question is, why is it necessary to use a tax reform program for vacant and not maintained properties or vacant lots? Why can't the city impose a bond or a fee or escrow or maintenance permit dollar amount for owners of vacant houses or lots that blight our neighborhoods or city streets? How difficult is it to change or to charge a non-resident fee or out-of-state or country owner as a good faith investment in the city's revitalization? I'm thinking about the, can't the city contract a group of lawn maintenance or landscapers like they do for our parks? With the year paid in advance for maintenance, snow removal, et cetera, maybe at a reduced cost or a tiered pricing based on the scope of work as an incentive to join forces. Failure to comply would be fined and enforced with penalties or sanctions as determined. And this could benefit local landscapers or residents who sign up by providing contracted jobs as well as owners of property. And an example is kind of like the city's paid bulk pickup program. It seems to give homeowners a break.
Okay, so a lot of good ideas in there, but our basic problem is this. There are states in this country where cities are legally allowed to charge a vacant lot, a vacant property assessment tax. The state of Michigan is not one of those states. We don't have any legal right to do it. I would love to put taxes on out-of-state owners and foreign owners. The Interstate Commerce Clause doesn't let us do that. And so those things sound like politically easy answers. Why don't we just stick a fee on the abandoned property? Why don't we just hit the people out of state? But unfortunately, those things are not legal. What is legal is to raise the taxes uniformly on every single acre of land, cut them uniformly by 14 mills on every single building. That is legal, and it is the only way to get it done. There's a reason in 50 years that nobody has put taxes or charges on vacant land. You can't do it. Okay, who's up next? Yes.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Jackson. I am a DPS teacher. Now, my question is, I recently went on the Wayne County Treasurer's auction, and I was trying to buy purchase a property at 14905 Evergreen Road. So I went and did my due diligence, and I went on the assessor's website, and it did not say it was a lot. This lot that I built on and I got was literally a tree smack in between two properties. And I've been calling all morning trying to get them to fix this because they're telling me that my deposit has been taken. And the only reason I went to the auction is because that every time I try to bid on the Detroit Land Bank, it's ridiculous. I'm getting outbid by investors and other people from out of state. Now, can you help me fix this issue?
So this is why the Wayne County Treasurer's auction isn't as good as it seems. So the county treasurer doesn't work for me. Is Chelsea here? Chelsea? But Chelsea Neblett knows the treasurer's people really well. So if there's anybody who can get through to them to have a conversation, it's Chelsea, but I don't have any control over the treasurer's auction. It's a county function.
Placing the blame on the city for not telling them that it was literally a patch of tree and a patch of land.
You know,
And
that's
now
not the way it works. The city doesn't tell them anything. They put out notices on tax delinquencies. They put them out for auction. People who bid on it, they have all kinds of notices. Make sure you check out the property before you bid. The city has nothing to do with the county treasurer auction. But Chelsea may be able to find somebody to at least listen to the conversation and see if you could help, all right? Okay, let's take somebody from the phone.
Sheriff Connor, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Sheriff Connor.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and everyone that's involved. I have two questions. My first question, I believe I heard you said with the side lots that even though Stephanie Young and the legislators had put it as those not being touched, that it will double. Can you clarify that if I heard correctly?
So tell me about, do you have a side lot?
Yeah, I have 3 of them.
You have 3 side lots you bought from the land bank?
Yes.
Okay, so today you are probably paying about $25 a lot in property taxes. If this passes, the tax on your house will go down, but those 3 lots will go from $25 each to about $50 each. And so if you tell us the address of your house, I can tell you how much your house is going to come down. Well,
I'm exempt right now, the property exemption, so I'm good.
Okay, so you've got a HOPE exemption. So Jay, what are we going to do with somebody with a HOPE exemption not to be hit with the increase? So Jay Rising, the treasurer's here. I've answered 1,000 questions, and you are the first one to ask that one, so I'm going to turn it over to the expert.
Thank you for the question. Thank you. It's an important question because we were really careful to make sure that a HOPE exemption is treated like your existing taxes. So just like someone's house can't go up by more than they pay now, the HOPE exemption you pay 0, so under the new tax you pay 0. The side lots can be part of the property and also be subject to, if it's not subject to the HOPE exemption, which they're not, they will go up by that amount.
So do you know right now, are your side lots taxed at all, or are they part of your parcel that has the exemption?
I actually just had to speak to Mr. Horn because I was actually being overassessed, and he rectified it. For some reason, they had it set like there were still houses on it. I mean, just this week, actually this week, I think he did the change. It was up to like $700 for each lot. And I was like, something's wrong here, but and he rectified it.
Well, he's sitting here. He's sitting here smiling right now at that answer. But I'm going to have him call you tomorrow and make sure that we fix it so that you don't get a tax increase from this. All right?
My other question is, I'm concerned about the other neighbors in our area. If they are going, I'm a block club president, and I've had a couple of other neighbors had the same issue. So they may want to check the rolls in our zip code.
Okay, so if you give your name and number here, Alvin Horn's going to call you tomorrow, and we can also check the other neighbors to make sure, because you should not get an increase off of this. Okay, so he'll call you tomorrow. All right, who's next? Okay.
Yeah, my name's Bob Carmack. The NEZ zone was done by me, Kirkpatrick, and Craig DeRoche. The NEZ zone was supposed to be in the lowest areas of Detroit to lower taxes and get people to develop. They weren't supposed to go in those areas. He put those in those areas to get votes. You should know that. Mr. Conrad Mallett sold a house for $1 million. He paid $5,000 in taxes on it. When you came in office in 2014, his taxes went from $13,000 to $5,000. You can lower these people's taxes, not by going to Lansing, just by having Mr. Horn do it. The only reason you go to Lansing is raise taxes. People in the scrapyard business and so forth, they're good friends of yours. All you try and do is cut the competition out. And then with the parking lots, that's your other buddy, Gilbert. The only thing you're thinking of is yourself. You're getting ready to go run for the governor's office, and you're leaving Detroit. Everybody should know that. Thank you.
Glad you have so much insight into my life choices. Who we have on the phone?
Next, we have Cunningham. Cunningham, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Cunningham.
Okay, didn't I just leave you?
Yes, Oglesby's party. We chatted. Yes. I'm going to reiterate a couple things. Can you hear me?
And we can, loud and clear, Brother Cunningham.
All right. So I send people to your phone number, 313-224-3400. I complained about the paratransit not having a after-hours voicemail line. You fixed that. They have an after-hour and weekend. The regular 313-923-1300, the D-Dot phone number, they have an after-hours and a weekend line. I'm hoping that you can change the 313-224-3400, that it have a voicemail for after-hours and on the weekends. Once before in the past, I had sent many Detroit Department of Transportation customers to leave a voicemail. Some folks don't know how to email. Some folks don't know how to Facebook. Some folks don't know how to do those things. So the easiest thing for them to do it like a petition is to leave a voicemail. And I'm not like everyone else that does not like you. You have a lot of good to you, and I appreciate what you have done.
I'm in contact with Brother Cunningham all the time. I'll give you a call tomorrow, make sure I understand what it is that you're asking for. It sounds like, much like on the paratransit side, you're looking for an after-hours voicemail for complaints on fixed route. But I'll call you tomorrow, make sure that I've got a exact understanding of what it is you're asking for, and that should not be much of a fix.
Sounds like a reasonable request, Brother Cunningham. You ought to be able to complain anytime you want. We're going to get that fixed. All right, where are we now? Go ahead, yes.
Hi, good evening, Mayor. I'm Judy Knight, I'm District 1. I have two questions. One, we have an ordinance regarding posting bills on these posts. I mean, it's illegal.
Yeah.
And I've been complaining since August about this one. It's about 7 feet up, so I can't reach it.
Okay. Have you seen how many we got down?
I mean, I get them down if I can reach them.
So hang on. So where is the one?
This is at 5 Points in West 8 Mile.
Okay. So Brad, will you go get that, please? He got 600 over the weekend. And he missed this one, but he's going to go out tomorrow and get it.
Thank you.
These piss me off. Go ahead.
The other question is, what is the policy or the procedure on this illegal dumping on Norfolk between Cherry Line and Ohio? It almost looks like this is where everybody's supposed to dump.
Okay.
I mean, it's growing and growing and growing, and that's just, I mean, it's all over the city. But I'm just saying, what is the policy? What can we do besides call and then wait another month? call,
Okay, hang on. You shouldn't be waiting more than 4 or 5 days, or Ron Brundage has got an issue. But if we have repeat dump sites, the police department puts in cameras, and we've arrested a whole lot of people. But Ron, why don't you talk to this resident about that particular site, see if there's something you can do. But you've got, how many crews you have out now picking up illegal dumping every day? 14 crews are around this city every single day, and the police are out looking to arrest them, so we don't need 14 crews, but he's going to keep an eye on yours. Thank you. All right, somebody on the phone.
Mr. William Davis, you'll mute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, William Davis from Barton McFarland Neighborhood Association. I was wondering, like it looks to me like the average Detroit resident could get a greater bang for the buck if we didn't have to keep paying higher and higher rain tax, also called a drainage fee. If the city of Detroit sold all of its land bank properties and put them on the tax roll and had them paying drainage fees, all of us should be able to get a substantial cut in what we're paying now.
Okay. Well, we're mixing two different things. So drainage fees relate to the amount of impervious surface. It doesn't have anything to do with the taxes, and this won't affect that one way or the other. All right, who's up? Go ahead.
Hi, oh wow, it's working.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Deborah Freer, and I'm the Assistant Director of Transportation Riders United. You've heard from a lot of our people about fixing the bus system. There's roughly 100 bus drivers short at DDOT and at SMART, and one of the reasons that they can't fill those positions is because the pay for bus drivers is so low. What new resources are you giving the interim director of DDOT to fix this by January?
Yeah, well, he will fix it, and so we raised the starting pay from in the 14s to what, over $16 now. We have how many drivers in the academy today? 94 drivers in the academy today. With the higher pay, they get another equivalent of $2 an hour if they show up for work after they graduate. So Michael Staley has very clear goals, and we're all going to measure him on them, but this guy, I'm convinced, is going to do it. If you look at what he did with paratransit, it was remarkable. There's 130 buses pulling out every day. His job is on January, there needs to be 150. And then in April, there needs to be 170, and September, there needs to be 190, and 4 months later, 210, which was the full service back before COVID. And so you're going to judge him in January, but with the drivers we have coming out of the academy, we are going to succeed at that.
Actually, the question was, what additional resources
I'm giving him
have you given him in order to meet those goals? So
I've
people are
given
not stranded on the streets.
I've given him the resources to succeed. You don't want to hear us talk about it anymore. We're either going to hit the 150 number in January or we're not. I'm very confident we will. I'm confident he has the resources to do it. But I've made the promise publicly repeatedly. Michael Staley currently has an interim director title. He can get off the interim title in January. He could end up getting off the title a different way. But I am entirely confident we're going to see him pull this off and succeed, and we're going to have a huge party. Brother Cunningham will lead it when we make him the permanent director. So, Mike, you are going to make the 150, aren't you? He says no problem. All right. Who's on the phone?
Once we get to the pre-COVID levels of public transit, can you commit to working with Executive Evans to make it even better? Because it wasn't nearly perfect.
Yes, you're too young to remember this, but in 1991, when the SMART Board of Directors voted to close down in bankruptcy, I went in as the director. I turned SMART around in 4 years because when I was a first-year law student, the job I had in downtown Detroit, I got to on the SMART bus every day. I wouldn't be standing here if the SMART bus hadn't been there when I was 21 or 22 years old. I feel very deeply about quality transit. I'm not at all happy about the quality of the service we have today. It's bad. I don't defend it. It's going to get better. County executive and I talk all the time. Dave Coulter and I talk all the time. I'd love nothing better than to build it. And you are going to start to hear more conversation about bus rapid transit coordinated between DDOT and SMART. But he can't do any of that until he gets more drivers in the seats, and that's our immediate job, and we're going to get drivers in the seats. And if you haven't spent time with Michael, you should spend some time with him. I think you'll be impressed. Okay.
I really appreciate your service to the city and to the state. And I do want you to know that Transportation Riders United was successful this year in getting $60 million additional into the local bus operating fund. So we're not just here poking at you, we're helping.
You guys have been fabulous. I mean, when you've been criticizing me, I've agreed with you. So I'm your fan. Okay. But you've been right. Okay, let's take somebody on the phone.
Motor City Rue, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Motor City Rue. Lucas Lasecki. Next, we have Red Flower Growers. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, everybody, Mayor and all.
Good evening.
My name is Tiffany Pilson. I live in District 1. I bought my house from the land bank in 2017, fought with the land bank to buy the 8 vacant nasty lots adjacent to the property, spent the last 3 years clearing and cleaning the blighted lots. Now, the property taxes, now that I'm growing food for the community and flowers and pollinator habitat on those lots, now my taxes on the lots is higher than the ones on my house.
You're talking about today?
Today.
Okay, so we can help you on that. We have special tax situation for urban farmers community space. If you give us your address, Alvin Horn will call you tomorrow, and let's see if we can help you on that. But we work that out with the urban farmers and the community groups. Let's see if we can't find a way to work it out for you. All right, so will you do that? And Alvin, I know you're leaving, but if you'll call this lady tomorrow. All right, he's on it. Okay, who's next? Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name is Armisha. I purchased my house December 20th of last year, and I have 2 concerns. Taxes. This is my first purchase, my first house ever. So I want to know why the taxes are as high as they are when I've seen other cities and family members in their homes.
Were you here at the beginning?
I was here at the beginning, but I would like someone to sit down and talk with me about it because I've been to the city multiple times. I've called on the phones, the assessor's office. No one seems to know what they're doing. And I don't understand for the life of me why. I'm coming in, they're not being trained properly. They're not, that's a whole nother.
You think your assessment is wrong?
I do feel like the assessment is wrong.
Okay, well,
so I want to look at that. That's one thing. But my other concern is my water bill. I'm holding a $4,000 water bill.
Okay.
I purchased the house December 20th of last year.
Okay.
I just moved in myself September.
Who did you buy it from?
I bought it from a church.
Okay.
And I've talked to the water department over the phone. I've been inside. I've had people come out twice. They're coming back again. And no one seems to be able to correct this problem. It's been a year now almost. And I don't understand why it's that hard to...
So I guess the question is, when you buy a property, either the seller pays the outstanding bills or the buyer pays the outstanding bills. It sounds like an issue between you and the seller, but if the seller
No,
had
because from my
unpaid-
understanding, and I have documentation that the seller paid their bill.
If
They're
the
overestimating my bill, and there's no way I could have used this amount of water unless I had the Detroit Lions living with me.
You're saying there was, so Gary Brown is going to look at your bill, and if it's a wrong assessment, he will fix it. Okay? He's right there. That's Gary Brown. He runs the water department. He's a great guy. If it's not fair, he will fix it. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, Mayor. My name is Aaron Slaughter. I am the president of Long Acres Block Club. I'm also the vice president of SIA Slough Craft Association. I'd like to give a shout out first to the district manager in District 1 and our deputy managers. They're doing a beautiful job in our district and also the 6th precinct. My question, thank you. My family and I, we've been on Long Acre since 1976. Stephanie Young, 13 years ago, she helped get a house demolished on my block. And I've been trying to get this property at 13503 Long Acre for the last 4 or 5 years. And I definitely want to purchase this property. It's a vacant lot. And
So who owns the lot?
well, I have the document here. Now, I think the land bank.
What's the address?
13503.
13503. Tammy, do you own that one?
That's on Long Acre.
Okay, Tammy Daniels, Land Bank Director, is going to talk to you and see if we can work it out.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Let's take somebody on the phone.
Stephen Harring. Stephen Harring, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Can I be heard?
You can.
Awesome. Well, it was great seeing you tonight at the party. I thank you for coming. I usually talk about transit, but I think some of my fellow transit activists asked the question very well, and I'm probably going to get the same answer. But I do want to say I do agree with you on the land value tax. I think it is a good deal. There are concerns, but I will be voting yes on the polls. And, it is shameful that, I believe it was 10 Democrats and, of course, all the Republicans believe these professional complainers, you pretty much know who they are, which includes BPS embezzler Theo Pride. But, I think it's a good deal, and I really hope to see it on the ballot sometime. I know there's legit concerns from some of the council, but, these parking lots and lots are destroying our city. Next, I want to say I stand 100% with Israel and the right to defend themselves. Jews have been in Israel for 3,000 years.
Time.
Okay. And that's a great thing about America. Everybody can express an opinion. Have we got...
Oh,
go ahead.
my name is Johnny Wilford, and I would like to thank Carla and Steele, and I would really want to thank Solomon today because he helped me out get all my issues out to every department.
All right.
But I want to really thank you guys because y'all really helped me, and I'm from Ashton Block Club, and I'm in O'Hara Park community.
I'm glad we have a satisfied customer. Thank you very much for coming out. All right. We have one left on the phone. Last call of the night. Go ahead.
Ms. Toya Kelly, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Ms. Toya Kelly.
Mayor Duggan, I wanted to ask you, this is a question for you and Chief White. What have you guys done with all the shootings going on, with kids shooting themselves? Have you guys implemented programs to give lock boxes to the parents in order to keep? What have you guys done to stop children from shooting themselves with their parents' guns?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is Chief White, and nothing frustrates me more than having to deal with these babies that are getting a hold of these guns and shooting themselves. Just tonight, we had a 15-year-old in a park that shot themselves in the hip with a gun. So first, it starts at home with parenting. And what we do is we provide free gun locks. I've said it time and time again, if you need a gun lock, I'll deliver it myself. We've got a number of different programs, and frankly, if the parents are not going to parent appropriately, we're going to be pursuing charges against parents that allow these children to get these guns and hurt themselves. It's enough is enough with it. We've got kids as young as 4 that's been shot this year, but we're doing everything we can to help curtail it, but we're going to need the help of the community and the help of the parents.
All right, thank you all very much. We'll have the land value tax estimator up live on the city website on Monday. Tell your friends. And Pastor Minor is going to, before you leave, is going to bless us as we go.
Amen. Yeah, if you would, just wherever you are, please take your seat. Listen, I didn't pray before we started because I prayed enough back in my office. but I believe in prayer. Okay, so let's close out with prayer if we can. Bow your head. Dear eternal God, our Father, we come to you today, God. We thank you and we praise you for this day, God. Lord, we thank you for everyone that spoke this evening, God. We ask that, Lord, their concerns will be dealt with, Father. And God, we thank you so much, Heavenly Father, Lord, for what you've done for this city already. And we don't take anything for granted, God. We thank you for the leadership. We thank you for the mayor, the chief of police, God, and every resident, Heavenly Father, Lord, that spoke up today, Father, because we live in a country where we have the ability to be able to speak, Father. So, God, we thank you for it, and we ask that you bless us as we depart from this place, that, God, you'll give us safe journey to our various destinations, God. We thank you and we honor you today. It is in Jesus' name that we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. All right.